That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet.
When you could not prove anyone right or wrong, all the expertise was contained in the people involved in the conversation.
We hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
I bet you got to train them to want to be around, because why would they have any feather in the game if they're not going to, if they're just going to leave?
We could have them in a fenced area.
Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-hosts. I'm Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just trying to have a conversation without Googling it or fact-checking it, just like we did before the internet.
I've been thinking a lot about the pre-internet days. I was trying to think today of a restaurant. I was doing this for my brother. We're trying to think of the name of a restaurant in Cary that had gone out of business, but it had really good pizza.
Yeah.
But I eventually had to use AI. AI figured it out. It was not on. It was not on the internet.
Why AI?
Well, AI somehow or another was able to do a deeper dive than was available to me just on that cursory first one or two pages of Google.
Really?
And it was so it started. I gave it the address where I thought the restaurant was at.
Okay.
And AI started working its way back through ownership. It was really amazing. So it was like,
which AI was this? Was this Chat GPT or
Chat
Google?
GPT? But it was the app where you can speak to it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
So I gave it what I thought was the address, and it started back. It was like, it was this restaurant, and then it was this restaurant, and it was this, and then it would stop, and I would say, what about before that? And they would go, it was this restaurant and this restaurant.
And it found it.
And it found it.
And unbelievable.
So it must have been going through.
It found some old records, like tax records or something, or maybe old address, the yellow pages.
Yeah. So Google wasn't giving it to me.
Really?
And well, like I said, within the first two.
But still, I would have thought Google has an AI built-in feature now that.
Yeah, you would think, but it was not pulling it up. But when I asked AI to go deep for it, it found it.
Yikes.
And it was, this is probably 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So there'd been
was it that long?
Yeah, there was probably 4 or 5 restaurants that had been there or more that had to go back.
Ah, well, there you go. So would you count that as killing the conversation?
I think it actually inspired some conversation because I was trying to find it out through connections first. So I was texting people saying, do you remember this restaurant? Yeah. And nobody, we came up with other restaurants that had gone out of business.
So you went through the appropriate channels.
Started with the appropriate channels.
Okay.
And then, but I was happy that it got me the answer, but then it got really scary because I was like, that's the fact that you could take an address like that and say, give me the history of this address was pretty amazing.
Man.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, here we go into AI again. Are we turning into this AI podcast or what?
We're just going to talk about how amazed we are by it.
Yeah, sure.
No, we're not.
I imagine when the internet was coming out, the radio DJs were talking about how amazed they are by the internet.
That's right. Well, because then they could program music much easier.
Right.
Than they did. They'd spin a disc.
That's right. They could program it. They could look it up. They had a better catalog.
Yeah. No, we're not going to talk about AI tonight. We are talking about emus tonight. We're going back to our animal series.
All right. Now you've lost me. Well, an animal. So a little fun fact about my wife. If you want to put her to sleep.
Yes.
Show her a car chase or an animal video on YouTube.
A car chase?
Yeah, car chase. A car chase. Like on a movie.
We'll put her to sleep.
It'll put her to sleep. Just like that.
Really?
Yes.
Why a car chase?
It just has, she has negative interest in a car chase. She has negative interest in any kind of animal video on YouTube.
Now you've told me that, I will send her nothing but animal videos.
Oh man, she will hate your guts. Anyway, so we're talking about emus?
Emus. When I'm specifically guard emus.
No, that's that.
There is a trend.
Did you realize an emu is a bird? It's not like...
I do now.
It doesn't have four legs, and it really doesn't bark.
No.
I don't think.
When I first heard someone say guard emu, in my mind, I was thinking llama.
Right. Or, yeah. No.
But when I thought about it for a minute, I knew that emu was a bird,
Right.
mainly because of the insurance commercial.
The Liberty Mutual, and which, by the way, is probably one of my least favorite.
Yeah, that's not a very effective commercial for me.
Although here we are talking about it.
But we're talking about it.
Here we are talking about it. We just advertised for Liberty Mutual Insurance
For
Company,
free.
LLC.
Yeah.
So look at that. It worked.
Right, the emu worked.
But anyway,
in addition to being in advertising, emus have gone into guarding farms. Like people will use emus to guard farms from like coyotes.
What kind of farms?
Like chickens, or I think even like sheep.
Really?
They will use emus.
I feel like
to guard the farm.
I feel like an emu is just like an extra large chicken for the coyote to eat.
Well, we've done a lot of chicken-related episodes.
Well, we're still waiting on listener number 1 to come. We do have a question about chickens and their diet. But what about emu?
My understanding is that emus will attack like a fox or a coyote and stomp them.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. So you put these emus in with your
Let's
chickens.
think about how big are these emus?
They're big birds.
They are a big bird. They're not quite the size of an ostrich, right?
They look very ostrich-like.
Really, it's sad. My only experience with seeing an emu is
the
commercial. But, I mean, I guess they're just about like, if they're standing up with their neck, they're about, don't they come up to about your stomach?
Oh, no, they're bigger than that.
Are they bigger than that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's ostrich size.
I think
Ostriches are bigger than us.
I think emus from head down to the floor is 6 feet, maybe.
Really?
Yeah. That's a big bird.
Okay.
So my understanding is you put them in these pens or these fields where you've got chickens or sheep or whatever you're going to protect, and they will protect it from a coyote.
That don't sound right.
They'll protect it from a coyote or a fox or some predator like that. So they're guard emus.
Do they need to be trained?
I don't know. I would think, well, no. I mean, how would you, can you train an emu?
Well, can you train an emu?
You can teach it to sell insurance, but I don't know that you can train it to guard a pen.
Is that a real emu that we're watching on TV?
I don't know.
Or is it just CGI? Or is it just, here we go?
It looks real.
It does look real, but it's wearing sunglasses sometimes, which makes me believe it's not.
And it has a badge.
Right.
So you put them in there and they'll stomp the coyote or they'll stomp the fox. Now, I have not Googled this or looked this up. This is just us talking at this point right now about guarding emus.
Where did you see this originally?
I mean, where I get most of my information, I read probably three-tenths of an article.
So you had a 2-paragraph read of a longer article. But what was the headline?
Using emus to guard livestock or chickens.
Do you remember what kind of news article website this was?
I don't remember.
This is kind of
probably successful farming or modern farming.
Was this towards the beginning of April that you read this?
No. It wasn't April Fool's joke. No, this was straight up.
Did you get an idea where? Like what geography is this?
Like in the South.
Is this in the South?
Yeah, in the South, using guard emus. That may be where I first saw it, is that I may have seen like a reel on Instagram.
Okay.
Of people using emus for guarding chickens and guarding sheep.
Well, I mean, I guess we have a little problem with coyotes.
Yeah.
In the
foxes.
South.
You have problems with foxes.
Foxes in the hen house.
You put your good emu in there, and now you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Are there different varieties of emus that lend themselves better to guarding than others?
Pit emus?
Pit emus, German emus.
Can you train them to be mean?
Doberman emus. Are there...
And I think you're starting to see other things like this, because I've noticed that the use of goats are on the rise now too.
The use of goats?
Yeah, not for guarding, but for landscaping. So you'll see people now that have some goats, and if you have like an overgrown lot.
Oh, right.
You can ask to bring the goats in there, and they will clean up your lot.
That happened here in Winston.
No.
So have you ever been on the Greenway over near Peters Creek going towards Salem Lake?
Yeah.
All right. I want to say the area that they were doing was over near Winston-Salem State. So more like MLK.
Mm-hmm.
So the place was overgrown with kudzu.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a farmer in the area, which you hire him to do this kind of underbrush clearing. And he sets up a large fence, and he turns his goats loose. And the goats just eat everything that's, 3 feet and down.
Right.
And you pay this guy to rent his goats, and he sets up his goats. Now, I wonder if he needs an emu to guard the goats.
Guard the goats. That would be a parent.
Because, I mean, that can be kind of a perilous area to have goats wandering around an area without being protected. I would think they need protection.
I think you might even be able to I don't know that I would go do anything if I knew an emu was in the cage.
Well, not now.
I mean, they seem to be a pretty imposing bird.
But well, that's a good question. So if let's say you're walking by, let's say you're playing Frisbee with a friend, and the Frisbee goes into a large area, which you have noticed the presence of emus. Would you go in there and get the Frisbee?
No.
You would not.
I would not.
No. Before or after this 3-second read of this article?
Before, maybe.
Yeah. But now?
Yeah, you have to be able to outrun the emu. It's the old joke. It's like, do not cross this field unless you can cross it in 10 seconds or in 9 seconds.
Yeah.
The bull can do it in 10.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So if I felt like I could get over there, get it, and get back out, I would challenge the emu. But I'm thinking the emu can outrun me even at my fastest.
Yeah, but once the emu catches you, what would it do?
Well, yeah,
because you're tall. I mean, you're a tall guy.
I guess it could.
I guess it could peck you. Yeah, but you have a Frisbee. You can guard yourself. All right, you've got some.
My understanding is they stomp a wolf or a.
Well, yeah, but they're not going to stomp you.
Right.
Although I have to see its feet to believe that stomping would be effective against the dog.
Man, all the knowledge of this is just contained within us two people at this point.
Just like we did before the internet.
Just like we did before the internet. Now, that would be quite a pair, is if you had a bunch of goats that you took around and then you had a guard emu. I think
you're onto something.
You're onto something now.
You're onto something.
Well, let me ask you a question. If, same situation, you're playing disc golf and the disc lands in a group of geese, are you going over there and getting that disc?
Yeah, I'd go over there and hassle the geese.
Canadian geese?
Yes, yeah. Unless I think I would.
Even if they came at you?
If there were goslings over there, maybe not. I would approach them slowly because they would turn and
What if they didn't turn? What if they came towards you?
Oh, I've had that happen to me twice.
Oh, no, that's what I'm asking.
I've had this happen to me. I had one charge me from the air. It was an air assault. I had to swing.
A Canadian?
Yes, I had to swing my messenger bag at it.
You were attacked by Canadian goose from the air.
Yes, it was an air assault. So in our parking lot, we have, the kind of the islands of grass and trees. And so the landscapers put these big tufts of long pine needles. And so in the spring, the Canadian geese settle in there and they make nests in the parking lot. And one time I was walking by and the nest was unguarded, but there were eggs in there. So I kind of just stopped and peered in there. And before I know it,
you were attacked.
From the air, they were flying at me. I had to swing my messenger bag at it to get it away. And the second time I had a geese come after me.
Were you scared?
No, I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared. I was shocked. The other time I had a goose come after me was I was in one of this is at work, same area of the parking lot. We were in his convertible and we're coming back from lunch and we're driving up close to the park, and the parking lot, the parking space was near this nest. And the bird came after us, landed on the hood, scooped, we were driving, hit the hood, went over the windshield, over behind us. I mean, he was not, or she was not messing around.
You scared?
No, I was not scared. I was in the car.
I'm just, after this, I've been driven away from areas by, it didn't even take an emu. Like, if I get an aggressive goose coming at me, I don't particularly challenge a goose.
So, yeah, has this happened to you?
Well, just in the parking lot, too, where you're heading out in a way and you have one of those Canadian geese.
Yeah.
A little too aggressive.
They get aggressive.
I give them pretty wide berth.
Do you?
Yeah.
Why don't you just kick them like a football?
We are in no way
put them
advocating animal violence on TDSR.
Put them between the uprights.
Yeah, I wouldn't get that close to them.
So I guess this answers the question whether or not you feel like you can farm geese if the farmer disappeared.
Yeah, I get a little, like on the Appalachian Trail. I don't know if you've ever done this before. There are areas where you hike through fields.
Yeah.
and we have hiked through fields where there's cattle, and you are having to kind of move through the cattle. Like they would be on the like to
Yeah, I don't
like when you enter the field, you entered the field into where the cattle were. They were around you. They were touching you.
I don't care for that.
Yeah, and you're having to move through that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I had a guy who grew up on a farm, and he's just like, push him out of the way.
All right. Well, I've had experience with cattle, but from a canoe.
From a canoe?
A canoe.
What'd you do with a canoe? I know you hit gators, spanked gators.
Which, by the way, I found that I was not, I guess I could not, I was not by myself when I was in that canoe.
With the spanking gator?
Spanking gator.
Who was it?
My mom. She was in the front. She remembers it.
Oh, I think I would remember it. So, how'd you encounter a cow in the river?
So in the Shenandoah River up in Virginia, kind of around Skyline Drive, Harrisonburg, Virginia, that area, we used to go canoeing there every summer on the Shenandoah. Beautiful, beautiful river, but it's quite wide, but quite shallow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably 2 to 3 feet deep in place, and all the way across. And a lot of the places it borders cattle pastures.
Right.
And so in the heat of the summer, the cows are in the river chilling out. And so we get in our canoes and we say, well, let's go get them.
Oh, you go after them?
And we start paddling after them.
What they did, just move?
Oh, they move.
Move.
They get moving. And they create all this emotion.
You're pretty brave when you're in a canoe, though.
I feel like I'm very comfortable in a canoe. Given between a battleship or an aircraft carrier in the game of battleship, I always go with a canoe.
In the game of battleship?
Battleship, yeah. I always have a canoe.
It wouldn't take an emu to drive me off of something. Like a goose, I think, would protect me.
Are there guard geese? Can you?
I think, I know a lot of people that don't like geese.
Yeah.
Because they're out in parking lots, like you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
And people will give them a wide berth.
Well,
they're aggressive.
We hire a service that comes out and chases the geese off. For a while, they would put black. Well, they had a black, some kind of retriever. I don't know if it was a black lab or it might have been a black sheepdog, but it was a black dog, and it was trained very well to go after the geese, but then come back and scare them off. And then what they did is they started setting up silhouettes of black dogs around the area. That trained the geese to say, don't go over there. If you see especially if you see a black silhouette. Now, it got to be funny is that they really didn't maintain all this activity. So eventually the geese would just walk right at the black silhouettes of the dog.
So the dog, was that there, the person bring the dog out?
Yes, yeah.
Do they stay out there for like days at a time?
No. They would just come for a visit and just go walk around campus with the dog, scare the geese off, and then disappear. And then they'd come back and do it again.
So we've got guard emus, goats,
right,
and then these dogs that you take out.
Right. Goose be gone.
There's a lot of, is that what it's really called?
I think it's called goose be gone.
There's a lot of animal-related businesses that I didn't realize exist.
Well, yeah, it still gets back to the training. I'm wondering, do you have to train the emu to be aggressive, or is it just come out right out of the egg?
I think emus.
Because why isn't this a bigger business? Why don't we see emu farms selling emus?
Guard emus?
Yeah.
I think I would be deterred from breaking in a house if I knew there was an emu in the yard.
Huh. I've never seen a sign for beware of the emu.
I think I'm putting one up tomorrow. Now that you say that out loud.
It sounds like a good idea.
I'm putting that up tomorrow. Yeah, you wouldn't break into a house. If you saw a sign that said, beware the emu in the yard, you're not breaking into the house.
Yeah. Well, people don't know what like you and me, we don't know what an emu is.
Well, except for that commercial.
Right, but I bet you most people don't know what an emu is. They probably think it's something like a big goat or something.
If you saw a thing that said, beware of guard dogs, because they put dogs in warehouses to guard or it said, beware the emu. I'd take my chances with the dogs.
No. I would. The thing is, I can't take beware the emu. I can't take it seriously. I can't take that seriously. I can't take that seriously.
It's going to make you laugh.
I mean, I really want to Google right now. I want to Google, where can I buy some emu eggs? How can I raise some guard emus?
Yeah.
I'm not interested in having one in my house, but I'm interested in how do you move them around? What kind of cage do you put an emu? Because they have long legs and long neck. Is it a paw cage?
I got a lot of questions.
So many questions.
Yeah. Yep. I got a lot of questions.
And are they flightless?
I think so.
Why don't they just fly away or run away themselves?
No, they're got to be flightless.
I bet you got to train them to want to be around, because why would they have any feather in the game if they're not going to, if they're just going to leave?
Well, you'd have them in a fenced area. Because you have your chickens fenced, or you have your sheep
Well, that's
fenced.
a big fence.
Yeah. But predators can still get in the fence.
Right. But if they're flightless, then they can't.
I think they're flightless.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel confident they're flightless.
Right.
And they have a badge. We've seen clearly they get carry badges.
Well, yeah, I mean, they probably, I wonder if they carry a gun
They have a resting
for that match, and they've got.
Maybe one of our listeners will know
I
the
doubt
ins and outs
I really
of
doubt
guard
it.
emus.
Our reach isn't that great.
I've been looking for
but you
something
never
to do. When I retire, maybe I'll raise guard emus.
Hey, I think that's a great idea.
There's probably a market for it.
And I wonder if they're good eating.
Emus?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Because then once they've, they're tired of.
You can eat them.
You can eat them.
Yeah. There you
go. Have you ever had eaten ostrich meat?
I have not.
It's pretty good. You gotta, you have to, it's kind of, you have to cook it on the rare side, but it's pretty good.
I would think it'd be stringy.
No, it's not. It's not.
Huh.
It's more grainy than stringy. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll be what I do when I retire.
Guard emus. Yeah, I mean, you never know. One of our listeners may be able to pitch in on this, but.
All right. Well, it don't sound right, but I think you have come to the end of our episode on guard emus. If you know anything about guard emus or the guard emu industry,
this is a deep cut.
If you have a guard emu, if you've raised an emu,
tell me you've actually seen one in the wild, on a farm. I'd like to hear of one.
Yeah. If you've seen an emu up close, let us know.
Before we close, I want to thank everyone for listening. If this is your first time and enjoy the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with? Also, if you're that long-time listener, please give us a rating and leave us a review so others can easily find us and join the conversation.
All right. That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcasts in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I'm your co-host and sound engineer. Peter's your other host and does all your web design. Camille is your barista. Emily does your graphic design. Ella does your Instagram. Brent is your international brand ambassador. Giorgio tests our merchandise. And as always, listener number one is Scott. So until next week, keep talking.
And stay curious.